Welcome to Rider Nation Station, presented by American Manufacturing Solutions, your total logistics partner, investing in Rider Nation Station and St. Mary's, Ohio, and to our other fine sponsors.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to another edition of the Doug Frye Show on Rider Nation Station. I'm your host, Joe Hurlbert, along with head coach Doug Frye. And a big win for the Rough Riders last Friday night at home, 28-9 over the Shawnee Indians. And Doug, before we talk about last week's game, let's take a trip around the Western Buckeye League. Any surprises last week, other than the one that sticks out for me was the Kenton's win over Walpock?
Well, that was a big win for Kenton, obviously, and that kind of shook things up in the league, and it's going to be an interesting finish the rest of the way.
Well, when you look at some of the scores of last week, in case you didn't catch them, Salina defeated Bath 26-21. Defiance defeats Elida 28-20 for their first win of the season. Of course, we just mentioned Kenton's win over Walpock 13-10. OG defeats Van Wert in overtime 35-28. And as the Western Buckeye League starts to shape up in the second half of the season, we see that the OG Titans and the Kenton Wildcats both stand atop the Western Buckeye League with 4-0 league marks. Wapakoneta is 3-1 in the league. Shawnee, the Riders, and Salina all find themselves 2-2, as Van Wert, Bath, Defiance are 1-3 in the Western Buckeye League. Elida still 0-4. Still a lot of football to play. A lot of things can happen before the end of the season.
Wow, it's going to be an interesting 5 weeks, and it's going to be exciting.
This week, the schedule looks like this in the league. OG will travel to Salina to take on the Bulldogs. Bath will take on Defiance up at Defiance. Elida is at Walpock. Van Wert will be at Shawnee. That'll be another good ball game. And, of course, we'll talk about St. Mary's on the road again. They'll be at Kenton. And, of course, I know right now it's early, but I think the computer polls came out this week, and we probably aren't focusing on that per se, but the Riders are now finding themselves in the top 8 in the Division 3, Region 12, with their 3-2 mark. Walpock stands atop the division in Region 12 with 4-1 mark, followed by Dayton, Chaminade, Julienne, Franklin, then Hamilton, Baden, Hamilton, Ross, Cincinnati, Hughes are all in there. They're tied for 4th, Trotwood, Madison, and then the Rough Riders. So a little early to tell, but Riders keep playing hard, taking care of what they do best, and everything will shake out, and it'll let things fall where they fall.
That's the way we see it, too. We need to take care of business ourselves.
We're going to take this quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the student athlete, what it takes to keep a student athlete eligible as far as grades and academics are concerned. We'll do that and more when we come back to the Doug Frye Show right after this.
If you're in the market to buy or sell a home, your job is made easy with Scott Ross Realty. Contact one of their hardworking, well-trained agents today at 419-305-4373 for all of your home buying and selling needs. Scott Ross Realty, wishing all Rough Rider sports good luck.
Back on the Doug Frye Show, Joe Hurlbert along with head coach Doug Frye on Rider Nation Station. And, Coach, when they talk about the student athlete, they put it right. Mm-hmm. Student first, athlete second. I guess my question to you is, what do students have to do to remain eligible so that they can play on any particular night?
You've got to pass 5 credits for the 9 weeks is what you have to do per state high school athletic association rules. And what most people would be astonished by is how a normal school day has changed. And I say this wholeheartedly. We have so many offerings here at St. Mary's and do such a great job that kids can get in work programs. They can be in TriStar. They can be in DECA programs. They can be in work release programs of all different types. I run an online school as my daily job. So there's so many opportunities for kids to find different routes to graduation. And but they're held accountable. As coaches, we check grades about 3 times a week of all of our players and are making our guys aware what homework needs to be turned in, what needs to be done. In the off season, we're at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, with all of our football guys, and we have a caring, compassionate teaching staff, so that makes it helpful. And but in the end, the young men have to get the work done.
Absolutely. Is there a grade point average that they must maintain in order to be eligible?
There is a minimum grade point average, which is also a school rule. I believe it's a 1.5 grade point average is what it is. And generally, if you're doing your job and getting your homework in and you're accountable, that's not going to be an issue.
Absolutely. What are the consequences of playing a student that might not be academically eligible?
Oh, we can't do that. If they're not academically eligible, they don't play. I've had in the past guys practice with us throughout the season and do that. They're able to practice. If you have the perseverance as a young man to do that, you're going to have to go complete 9 weeks with never seeing the game field or never dressing for a contest at any level. So the academics are number one, and that's what schools are all about.
Now, if somebody happens to be academically ineligible, who is that reported to? Is that reported to the league? Is that reported to the OHSAA? Or is it just the coaching staff's responsibility not to play that particular player?
Well, I'm not sure of all the logistics outside of my hands, but our athletic director and high school principal are responsible for coming up with the eligibility list, and we're about a little over 2 weeks away right now, so we're trying to encourage our young men to make sure you're taking care of business in the classroom so you're able to play the last couple games of the season, during the regular season at least, and if we would be fortunate enough to make the playoffs, then you're able to be eligible for that. So, but our athletic director and principal will come up with an eligibility list, give it to the coaches, send it around to everyone in the school, and that person is no longer eligible to play in any kind of contest.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're looking for something to do and you don't have anything to do in the evening, get online, the OHSAA, and go into their website and look at what it takes to become eligible. There's like 3 pages of rules and regulations, how to figure out grade point averages, how to make sure students have certain credits. There's a whole process that goes on that you probably don't even know.
No, I don't. And a lot of it, it's out of my hands. Absolutely. And I don't handle that. And then the big thing that's really changed are transfer bylaws. So I know when we have a young man move into the system or a young lady comes in, just making sure that everything is in accordance with a high school athletic association rules, and there's a lot more paperwork involved with that now.
Well, and here's the thing that when you talk about the student athletes transferring in, is that sometimes if it's not done correctly, of course, a team has to forfeit games if that particular player plays and is ineligible due to transfer. And sometimes you don't hear about this until maybe 2 or 3, 4 weeks down the road after the game has already been played.
Absolutely, and Jim Holman, our athletic director, would be the guy that would know a little more about that, because I know he's had to deal with that a number of times on transfer athletes. But there's a lot of logistics, and of course the big thing they've changed is if a young man or young lady has played a sport in the other school, now they've got to sit out part of the season. Okay. And so it used to be that they set out the first half of the season, and just recently in the last year or two, and now it's the second half of the season, because some people were still transferring and sitting out that first half and being eligible for the playoffs after that. So it has now changed, and if they have not played the sport in the other school, then they're automatically eligible.
Absolutely. Well, that's a look at how we can keep our student athletes eligible to participate in high school athletics. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Doug and I are going to talk a little bit about their St. Mary's 28-9 win over Shawnee last Friday night. We'll do that and more when we come back right after this. Vogel's Bake Shop, making thousands of fresh donuts daily, open 7 days a week with stores at St. Mary's, Salina, and Walpock. Also now found in Wagner's IGA at New Bremen, Minster, and Fort Laramie. Back once again on the Doug Frye Show, Joe Hurlburt alongside Coach Frye. And Coach, big win over Shawnee at home. You had to be pleased with the performance of your ball club because, to me, from where my perspective, they dominated the ball game. 287 yards, 67 carries. They put together offensively some big drives, 17 plays for 85 yards, and also 70-yard drive of 13 plays. So you had to be pleased with the way your offensive unit played.
We were, and I really want to attribute the win to the work we put in the weight room. First of all, our kids were up and in the weight room at 5:30 on Monday mornings. We were in the weight room early in the morning. Our school day starts earlier now in the off season, so our kids, our football kids at St. Mary's, and our kids in a lot of sports get up and try to work extremely hard. So that showed on the field as we added some strength and physicalness to our game. And I thought our kids the last couple of weeks have been a lot more fundamentally sound, too. We're starting to catch up fundamentally. We're settling our people in, and we've really had to deal with the injury bug this year. So that's meant some moving parts on our team and some kids in and out. But really our seniors that are healthy and around, and even some that aren't, have done a real good job of leading our team.
You know, I thought, and I agree, that I thought this ball game was simply won on both sides of the football in the trenches, where the offense and the defense I thought dominated Shawnee.
Absolutely, and those guys never get enough credit.
No, they don't.
And they're number one in my eyes, and in our coaching staff's eyes, those D linemen, those O linemen, that's the key to football right there. And those guys are getting better and executing well, and they're well coached. I give credit to Shane Patterson, our D-line coach, who was with me as a defensive coordinator over Wapakoneta, and Kevin Jacobs and Bo Frye, our offensive line coaches. Those guys do a great job.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your substitute fullback that you started. I'll tell you, what a ball game for a freshman. Aiden Hinkle made his first varsity debut, and the 6-foot, 190-pounder ran for 171 yards and had 3 rushing touchdowns. And I'll tell you what, he played extremely well, I thought, for a freshman.
Well, first of all, he is a freshman, and as you look back at the archives of our program and you look overall at football, there generally is a major maturation difference between a freshman and a senior at this level of football, or at any level. And so we really didn't want to rush Aiden to that point. We brought 2 freshmen up this year. Austin Parks and Aiden Hinkle are the 2 that we brought up. And we thought it would be good for them and good for their teammates to get a little more playing time at the freshman level. And Parks and Hinkle both seen some limited time on special teams. Matter of fact, Parks was one of the young men that blocked the field goal against Sydney early in the year. But Aiden had a whale of a game, ran hard, did a nice job, but also had great support from everyone else.
Well, I think we have a clip of Aiden on a big run from the line of scrimmage.
Sure, Aiden hits that. I believe that's a trap right there. Yes, it is. He hits it with some speed and puts his pads down at the end and runs through. And I like the way he's protecting that football and taking care of it.
Yeah, I did. And then this clip we hear, he scores from inside the 5. Just hard-nosed running, good line surge from the offensive line.
Nice job by Ward at the tackle, one of our returning linemen, Brian Ward at the left tackle. He really had a great block there, and Aiden finished it up. Also, we had Hesse over there, Zach Hesse, a senior lineman for us, and Ethan Wedding leading the play. I like the excitement in the end zone.
Absolutely. And on this third clip, we see him Aiden Hinkle just busting a big play, and just second and third efforts. There's one, there's another one.
If we can see that again. I'm sorry to interrupt you there, Joe, but if you watch the block of number 6, Ethan Wedding, coming off the wingback position here, watch the wingback come down right there on the linebacker.
Takes 2 linebackers out.
He did a whale of a job.
Absolutely.
So, again, taking nothing away from Aiden and, the job Kurt Bupp did getting the ball and faking the edge, but the blocking was phenomenal.
Absolutely. And St. Mary's completed 1 pass, and we'll see this. Kurt Bupp hit Ty Howell to get the ball down inside the 5-yard line.
What you'd hope for from your seniors, doing a great job right there, Howell and Bupp, connecting up and well protected up front.
But again, as I talked about, you threw 1 pass. Obviously, the passing game wasn't needed.
It was a high percentage, 100% there.
Absolutely.
So we didn't want to mess with the percentage, I guess. So.
And on defense, the Rough Riders were +2 in the turnover margin. They recovered a fumble and intercepted a pass, and they held Shawnee to just 88 yards. Now, keep in mind, they came in averaging over 200 yards per game in total offensive yardage, but the defense, I thought, just played phenomenal.
The improvement of our defense has been phenomenal, really. And, again, Nick Yale, who runs the defense for us, who played on our 04 team and played for me. I was his head coach, and Nick's a loyal, hardworking defensive coordinator. We've been working through some changes, losing Slosser in the middle at linebacker, and Ty's been out there helping us out in practice. and rooting us on and doing a great job there in that regard. And it's always sad when you see that happen to any of your seniors. We lost Jace Norton and Ty Slosser, and I feel for both those guys. But we're getting better. We're playing team defense. We're running to the ball and starting to do the little things better.
Well, this clip here shows the defense having a meeting and putting great pressure on the Shawnee quarterback.
You see Kanar on the edge there, and I believe that's Trace Mabry on the inside coming in too. And the edge is set very good by Lucas Walter, another senior. In the end, your seniors are your leaders every year, and you hope for the best for them. And our seniors are doing a great job leading our team.
Here's another clip of the defense. I think Kenor and Trey Fisher.
And Wylam McCollum in there,
Absolutely.
too. Wylam McCollum is up from the JV team for the last 3 weeks and really seeing a lot of development out of Wylam.
You know, a lot of times when you see pressure on the quarterback like that and you see the defensive line getting quarterback sacks, you have to contribute that to your defensive secondary. Because obviously they have great coverage on the receivers, and the quarterback has no place to throw the football.
And that's an area that we really thought we needed to improve on. We lost some kids back there, and we moved Ty over Howe to middle. Tanner Howe was moving back from a linebacker for the first time. So Fishbach and Troglin have continued to get better. But, yes, you call that a coverage sack a lot of times.
And this one here is one of the turnovers. This is linebacker Brandon Paul. He recovers a Shawnee fumble.
Brandon's in the right place. Good hit out there by Fishbach, I believe, and get the fumble. And Brandon's a hustler. And when you hustle, good things happen.
Absolutely. And then this last clip we have is the interception by Carson Fishbach. This kind of pretty much sealed the deal, I believe.
Right. And, again, enough pressure there where the young man threw it into traffic a little bit, and we came up with the interception.
So the Rough Riders play big at home as they defeat the Shawnee Indians by a score of 28-9, still in the Western Buckeye League hunt for sure. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the Rough Riders are on the road, and they're going to go to Kenton to take on the high-powered Kenton offense. We'll do that and more when we come back right after this. Whether your goals include college education funding, retirement planning, generating income, or reducing taxes, at Glass Daringer Investment Management, we've got you covered. Stop in and speak with Jeff Daringer or Kevin Glass at 100 West Spring Street today. Glass Daringer Investment Management, securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, SIPC. Welcome back to the Doug Frye Show on Rider Nation Station. Coach, the Rough Riders are back on the road again. They're going to go to Kenton to take on the Kenton Wildcats. And, of course, Kenton over the years, it's no secret, they'll put the ball in the air a few times.
Well, that's the first thing you think about. And you talk about their offense and the spread, and that'll be a challenge for us. But they're also very good defensively also. But last major road trip, we go to Salina on our other road trip, but last long road trip of the regular season. And, we'll have to be prepared and ready to play.
Blaine Houston is the quarterback. He's completing 63% of his passes and already has thrown 14 touchdown passes. They also lead the league in passing offense and total offense and scoring defense, but they're averaging around 30 points a ball game. But really, Shawnee came in doing the same thing, and the Rough Rider defense rose to the occasion. So the Rough Rider defense, again, will have to play extremely well, put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. But to do that as well, they need good coverage in the secondary because they also have 4 pretty good receivers.
Two opposite challenges, really. Both teams that are putting it in the end zone, but Shawnee being more of a running team, and obviously Kenton, that's an understatement, being a major throwing team. So in this league, and that's why you see so many times that when teams come through the league, in the Western Buckeye League or the MAC, the success we have in the playoffs, the work ethic of our kids, but also the preparation. You see so many different things during the season, and you better be able to adjust and move quickly.
Absolutely. The Rough Rider offense will face a Kenton defense that's allowing about 18 points per ball game. They're 5th in the Western Buckeye League in that department. This Kenton defense held Wapak to just 10 yards last Friday night. And so your offense, again, has to continue to get better. And, again, you do the fundamentals, well, the score will take care of itself.
Absolutely. 10 points were put up, and we'll have our hands full there. It's always a challenge. They run a stunt 4-3, which is a unique defense that no one else runs in our league, and we'll have to execute well and be able to spread the ball around and do the little things well.
Well, we wish you well on the road again at Kenton, and hopefully the Rough Riders will come back with another victory. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have a final word right after this. Coach, again, the Riders on the road. The community showed out again big last Friday against Shawnee, and you want the fans to continue to follow you all over to Kenton as well. I know it's a long trip, but nonetheless, we need fan support.
We do, and I'd like to highlight our program a little bit, if I could, real quick. Our seventh graders are now 5-0. They had a big win at Kenton as we taped this program yesterday. Scored 56 points, won 56-24, and almost 40 young men on that team right now, and they're two platooning. Our eighth graders, I believe, are 3-1. Our freshmen had a nice win against Shawnee's freshmen the other night. They're 3 or 4-1, and we play Coldwater, Marion Local coming up, Fort Laramie's JV team. Our JV team's undefeated right now, and is having a good season. So, obviously we talk a lot about our varsity, but there's a lot of young men involved in our program all the way down through. And I don't know if you count the numbers up, we're probably talking 140, 150 kids that are involved in our program, and great support from the Rider-Rooters, Touchdown Club, football parents. I just couldn't be prouder of our community. And, continue to support us, and we'll go out there and play as hard as we can and give our best effort.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to wrap it up on the Doug Frye Show. But before we leave, we want to remind our viewers that this Friday's game will not be broadcast. We will be back on the air the following week when Elida comes to Grand Lake Health Systems Field, and we'll be back on the air with that. Also, we encourage you to go to YouTube, Rider Nation Station, and subscribe. And not only that, like us on Facebook as well. That's going to do it for the Doug Frye Show. For Coach Doug Frye, I'm Joe Hurlbert. We'll see you next time. So long, everyone.
This episode of Rider Nation Station has been sponsored by American Manufacturing Solutions, your total logistic partner, investing in the St. Mary's community.
Vogel's Bake Shop, making thousands of fresh donuts daily, open 7 days a week with stores in St. Mary's, Salina, and Walpock. Also now found in Wagner's IGA in New Bremen, Minster, and Fort Laramie. Whether your goals include college education funding, retirement planning, generating income, or reducing taxes, at Glass Derringer Investment Management, we've got you covered. Stop in and speak with Jeff Derringer or Kevin Glass at 100 West Spring Street today. Glass Derringer Investment Management, securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, SIPC.